The idea of spending your golden years on a beach in the Caribbean or in a small town in Europe is very appealing. Even though there are many great places to retire in the US, some foreign countries offer cheaper housing, better healthcare, and great tax breaks, not to mention beaches. But how should you choose a place to live? We recommend that you look at the International Living 2022 Retirement Index, which is a list of places where a retired couple can live comfortably on as little as $2,000 a month. The top 10 countries to visit in 2022 include both cultural centers in Europe and places to enjoy the outdoors in Central and South America. Here are the best places to retire around the world, without further ado. However, before we start our countdown, we would appreciate it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel and also press the bell icon. Let's get started. 10. Uruguay. Uruguay is laid back, easy to get around, and has both lively cities and beautiful natural areas. In other words, it's a great place to retire. On the coast, there are beaches, and in the middle of the country, there are cattle farms. Temperatures rarely drop below freezing everywhere in the country. The city's capital, Montevideo, has great parks and public squares, hip cafes, and a lot of bars and restaurants along the 13-mile-long Rambla, which runs along the water. If you want to settle down in a beach town, the resort town of Punta del Este has a large group of foreigners living there. At both Punta del Este and Montevideo, you can work with English-speaking relocation specialists who will help you get a visa, sign up for healthcare, and open a bank account. The best thing about retiring in Uruguay, though, you won't have to pay taxes on your social security or pension. 9. Spain. It's never too late to make your life better, and if you retire in Spain, that's pretty much a given. The country has a great climate, a high level of mental and physical health, and a way of life that puts a high value on good food and leisure. Hello, siestas. There are more than 300 sunny days a year in towns along the Mediterranean coast, so you won't have to spend your retirement years shoveling snow or staying inside to wait out the cold. Spain has more to offer than just good food and nice weather. It also has a lot of cultural things to do. You can't beat Barcelona's architecture, Madrid's shopping, Valencia's museums, or Andalusia's flamenco shows. When you add great healthcare, a reliable infrastructure, and a large number of English speakers, you have a very comfortable place to retire. 8. Malta. Malta is the 10th smallest country in the world. It is about 50 miles south of Sicily. But don't be put off by its small size. The archipelago nation is like the best parts of other countries, like Italy's beaches and old cities, North Africa's fragrant spices and seafood-focused cuisine, and England's language and tea culture. It makes sense that 15% of the people who live here are expats. Most of the people live in the capital city, Valletta, which is 2 hours by plane from most other capital cities in Europe. There are museums and tasty tapas restaurants in the city, as well as snorkeling spots, hiking trails, and ruins that are older than Stonehenge that can be reached quickly by car or ferry. Malta is a great place for retirees because it has a warm climate, lots of things to do, and people who speak English. 7. France. You've probably always wanted to live in France, and retirement is as good a time as any to do it. From the glitzy beach towns of the Côte d'Azur to the sunflower fields of the Dordogne, culture and nature are everywhere. And while it might not be cheap to live in the center of Paris, there are surprisingly cheap places to live in France that are just as charming. Montpellier is the French city with the most theaters, restaurants, and modern apartments starting at $160,000. It is the city with the most growth. The Mediterranean Sea is also about 30 minutes by shuttle from the southern city. There are also good reasons to move to one of the country's many charming small towns, like Rocamadour on a hill or Colmar with its canals. 6. Ecuador. The weather, culture, and cost of living in Ecuador are all great, and because there aren't as many expats there as in some other South American countries, you can really experience the local culture almost anywhere you go. It's still a good place to retire, though, because it has fast internet, good transportation, and the US dollar as its currency. Depending on where in Ecuador you go, you can eat freshly made ceviche on the beach, zipline through the Andes, raft through the Amazon rainforest, or enjoy 16th-century architecture in Quito. Both the city of Salinas on the coast and the resort town of Cuenca in the Andes have large communities of people who live outside of Ecuador. 5. Colombia. Colombia is one of the most biologically diverse countries in the world because it has beaches, the Amazon, and the Andes. What we mean is, here, pretty much everyone can find a nice place to live. There are also direct flights from the US to all of the country's major cities. Flights from Florida take less than 3 hours. Even though Colombia has a lot of great cities, the climate in Medellin is one of the main reasons why there are so many expats living there. The small town of San Antonio de Pereira, on the other hand, has less traffic and a slower pace of life, making it an even better place to retire. 4. Portugal. Portugal has something for everyone, whether you like rough Atlantic beaches or cities with cobblestone streets. The country in Europe has a beautiful Mediterranean climate, which goes well with its seafood, olive oil, and wine. Residents get to live in a calm place with all the conveniences of the modern world, like high-speed internet, reliable airports, and public transportation. Cities like Lisbon and Porto are cultural hubs with enough museums, concert halls, and hip cafes to last a lifetime. But there are a lot of charming towns and natural wonders just a short train ride away. For example, the vineyards of the Douro Valley, the rocky beaches of the Algarve, and Cascais, which is home to a large group of English-speaking expats. 3. Mexico. Americans who want to retire close to home can choose Mexico, but the country has a lot more to offer than just its location. High-speed internet and cell service, good roads, reliable electricity, and well-known stores and restaurants can all be found with ease. More than 1 million Americans live there for at least part of the year as expats, so you don't need to speak Spanish well to get around. Even though Mexico is very familiar, it still has beautiful landscapes and a unique culture that make it a fun place to live. You can learn about the local holidays and traditions, then go to one of the country's many beach towns to spend the afternoon on the white sands and turquoise waters. 2. Costa Rica. Costa Rica is known for its beautiful beaches, cloud forests, and coffee plantations, all of which are spread out over a small area. The country has been very popular with expats for the past 40 years, so it's easy to find groups of people who speak English. If you want to move there permanently, though, you should definitely learn Spanish. The famous Pura Vida way of life in Costa Rica encourages people to relax, spend time outside, and stop worrying about small things. Many airlines fly out of the international airports in San Jose, SJO, and Guanacaste, making it easy to get back to the fast pace of the United States, LIR. 1. Panama. Panama has been at the top of the retirement index for 11 years, and it's easy to see why. The country is right in the middle of North and South America, and it only takes 3 hours to fly to Miami from there. It has beaches on both the Pacific and the Caribbean, and in coastal towns like Coronado, there are thriving and friendly expat communities. The Panama Pensionado Visa, also called the Panama Retirement Visa, is one of the best in the world. It gives people big discounts on everything from plane tickets to theater tickets. The expat communities here aren't as well established as they are in Costa Rica, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You can still find thousands of other expats, and they tend to live with the locals instead of in separate enclaves. These are the top 10 healthiest countries to live or retire in the world. Tell us about your favorite one in the comments section below, and also subscribe to our channel for more top 10 videos. Press the bell icon for all the latest updates. Thanks for watching.